What is up, all you individuals out there? It's me, full-time anime man, and I have been missing to say that a lot lately. So, no videos in a while. Been trying to get my head straight. Don't really got much to say about it, other than let's get into this video. This is What If Deku Had Maleficent's Powers, Part 5. Hope you all enjoy. Where we last left off, Izuku had come to the horrifying discovery that he was on the Taser. Stop licking my feet. Taser! Stop licking my feet, dang! Where we last left off, Izuku had come to the horrifying discovery that he was there on that day of the truck incident. Like, at the age he's in right now there. A lot of emotions hit Izuku hard. Bakugo speaks. Dude, how did you get there? I don't know, said Izuku. Why didn't you stop it? I don't know. Why did you let your mom die? I don't know. Suddenly, from above, the clouds let off a roaring thume as the clouds got darker and darker. Izuku was having a mid-panic attack. Bakugo calmed him down. Dude, just calm down, okay? We're gonna figure this out. You just gotta calm down. After hearing those words, Izuku took a deep breath and the weather returned back to normal. Izuku sat down thinking about his future self, not saving his mom. Why wouldn't I save her? There's gotta be some reason why. Bakugo approaches Izuku, comforting him. Hey, it's gonna be alright. I don't know much about this magic stuff, but maybe with some time you could find a way to go back and prevent all this. Izuku's mind was set on just that. He wanted to stop at nothing until he found a way to travel back in time and save his mom. After some time has passed, Izuku took Bakugo back home and went to his library to find out secrets of the mirror. And after hours and hours of research, nothing had came up. The young green-haired boy sat at a table, angry at himself. How did I go back there? There's gotta be some way to find out. Suddenly, while in the middle of thinking, Dioval entered the library with a plate that had a teapot and teacups. Hey there, Izuku. I see you're keeping up with your studies. That's great. Well, how about a break and you can tell me all about your second day at school? When he reaches the table, he sees the distressed look on Izuku's face. What's wrong? Asked Dioval. Izuku would then look directly at Dioval and remember when he said, "This mirror is very special." And then it hit Izuku. He then speaks. Dioval, you know more about the mirror, don't you? Well, you're gonna tell me you already told me everything about it. But let's face it, that would be a lie. Izuku would notice that he's being a little harsh towards Dioval, and he would take a deep breath and say, I'm sorry, Dioval. It's just a few hours ago, I just found out that I could travel back in time. Suddenly, a shiver went down Dioval's spine when he heard those words. Izuku continues, and I have reason to think that it has something to do with the mirror. What are more things that you could tell me about the mirror? Izuku looks closer and notices Dioval's hands were shaking. Izuku would notice the distressed look on his face, and Dioval would say, "Wait here, I'll be right back." He would then leave the room, leaving Izuku even more confused than before. Has he been keeping secrets from me? What the hell, Dioval? A few minutes later have passed. Dioval returns, but this time he has the book in hand, the same book that he gave to Izuku when he first came to the castle. around 10 years ago. Izuku Izuku says, "Isn't this the first book I ever read about my powers?" "Yes, it is." Diaval would then open the book to the very last page and split the last page open, revealing 2 pages. The secrets about the mirror's magic and its ability to travel through time. And in between those 2 pages was a letter for Izuku. He looks closer at the letter and says, "This is Maleficent's handwriting." Diaval would nod, and Izuku would open the letter. It reads, "Dear child, if you are reading this, then that means you've found out about the secrets of the magic mirror. It can show you anyone in the world and it can make portals to those places. But it has one dangerous setting to its abilities: to take anyone back in time. It works like this. The magic has a great extendance. It has the abilities to reach to the nearest black hole in the galaxy. It uses its regime of spatial time to send its traveler back as far as he or she desires." Izuku looks up to Diaval and says, "Why haven't you told me about this? I wanted to so bad for a long time, but I was just so moved on how well you're using my mistress's powers. And I saw you like a son I never had. And I was afraid that if you go back in time that I would lose you. I'm sorry, Izuku." Izuku thinks for a second and says, "I need some time alone." He walks off with the note and the book in hand. Diaval wanted to follow Izuku, but as he said before, he needed some time alone, so he gave him that time alone. We fade to black and then reappear with his with Izuku actually walking to school this time. Suddenly, his father entered his mind as he walks. He then pulled out his phone and then called the prison that he was in, asking to speak to Hasashi Midoriya. After a few seconds, Hasashi would then pick up the phone and say, "Hey, son, how are you doing?" "I'm fine, Hasashi," said Izuku. "Are you still mad at me?" asked Hasashi. No. I just wanted to ask you a question." "And what is it?" "Did you ever move on from your mistake? Like, have you forgiven yourself and wanted to be a better person?" Hasashi would take a deep breath and then let it out, and says, "I would be lying if I said yes. Being a better person, I definitely want that. But for the past, I think about that day all the time, and I would do anything to just go back and just change it. For the better. Maybe I would have been there for you. Maybe your mother would probably still be..." Anyway, there's no changing what I did. What happened, it happened, and I have to live with it now. A few seconds of silence brushes by. "Are you still there?" asked Hasashi. "Yeah, I'm still here. I want to see you after school if that's okay with you." Hasashi, in an excited voice, expresses himself, saying, "Yeah, of course, I'm fine with that." Izuku smiles and says, "Okay, I'll see you when school is over." "Okay, son, I'll see you then. See ya, Hasashi." Izuku hangs up the phone. Izuku thinks, now, I need to find a way to go back and save Mom. How do I do that? Suddenly, he hears Bakugo's voice from behind him. Hey, Izuku. Oh, hey, Kachan. How are you doing? I'm fine, but how about you? Did you find out how to time travel yet? I have found one thing. The mirror I use to get around is strong enough to reach to the nearest black hole. I think that's how I time travel. I think that might be how it works. Hmm. Bakugo says, "Are you sure you want to do this, though? Like, you know that if you change one little thing in the past, it'll have a great impact on the future. So even if you do end up finding a way to go back, you'll need to think about it." "You're right," said Izuku. A few minutes, the two boys have reached the UA grounds, while the reporters and other people, interviewers, tried to talk to them about All Might's whereabouts. They ignored them and entered the school grounds. Soon they reached the classroom, and everyone was seated. Soon after, Mr. Aizawa entered the room, and everyone was already quiet. "Good job," said Mr. Aizawa. "Okay, class, I have something to say, but first..." Aizawa looks to Izuku and he says, "Midoriya, I don't want to hear no more things about kingdoms and that kind of stuff in my classroom. You got it?" Izuku wasn't sure how to respond, for he was telling the truth, but he just decided to say, "Yes, Mr. Aizawa, I understand." "Good. Today you all be voting for a class representative. Choose wisely." Soon after, everyone voted for Tenya Ida as the main representative and Yaoyorozu as the second representative. Most of the people didn't vote for Izuku because they kind of fear his power a bit after he explained where it comes from and what he had done to Bakugo the other day. A few hours have passed. Everyone was in the cafeteria. Izuku by himself is sitting at a table reading the book on the topic of time traveling. Suddenly, while in the middle of reading, he hears Uraraka's voice. "Hey, Izuku, do you mind if Ida and I sit here with you?" No, not at all. Please, sit." Soon, Bakugo and Kirishima joins them at the table. Uraraka speaks. "So, Izuku, what's that book you're reading?" "Oh, this..." While hiding the book under the table, he uses a spell to change the title of the book to Moby Dick. "I was just reading Moby Dick. I was just on the chapter where Captain Polar was challenged by Owen Chase. It's a great book." Ida speaks. "That's very nice. It's wise to keep the mind sharp by always acknowledging yourself with the greatest hunters in history." I'm improvising again. After a few minutes, Kirishima spoke. "Hey, so Midoriya, I remember you said you have the power to transform anyone into anything, right?" "Yes, I can." "So..." "That's so cool. So, does that mean you could change me into something like a dragon?" "Well, I can, but why would I do that?" "I mean, it just sounds cool when you think about it." "Yes, very cool," said Izuku. Uraraka speaks. "Hey, I have to ask, since Mr. Aizawa brought it up, were you serious about the kingdom? Are you really a king?" Izuku thinks for a second and says, "Well, as long as you don't bring it up in class..." "Yes, I am a king. I look after a forest of mythological creatures. I have basically all of them. I have giants, trees that walk like people. I even have a unicorn or two." Ida speaks. "But wait, as you said before, those are just mythological creatures. They can't be real." "Well, if you don't believe me, then ask Kachan. He was there yesterday, and Oswald spooked him really good. Uraraka asks, "Who's Oswald?" "He's a giant griffin, and he's a real jokester and likes to scare people." "Maybe some other day I'll take you there. But for right now," sorry, take that out. "For right now," damn it. From right behind him, he hears, "Oh, really? Can I come too?" Izuku turns around to see Toto-chan. "Oh, you. I haven't gotten your name yet." My name's Izuku To... My name is Shoto Todoroki. And sorry to be rude the other day." "No, it's fine," said Izuku. "We are classmates after all. But sure, you can come with us. We'll all get together and we'll schedule a date to go." Toto-chan blushes when she heard the word date. She quickly changed the subject and said, "By the way, I liked how you displayed your powers and strength the other day. You really put Bakugo in his place." From across the table, Bakugo let off small explosions in his hand. Whoa, Kachan, just calm down." Izuku then turns his attention back to Toto-chan and says, "Thank you. I work really hard to do my best and let my magic take me as far as it can." Izuku and Toto-chan talk for a minute, but then the alarms went off saying, "Security breach. All students must evacuate the building immediately. This is not a drill." Everyone gets up from their seats and runs towards the exit. Izuku, who casually walks, he comes across the window and he sees that the press have made it onto school grounds. He tells Bakugo, Uraraka, Kirishima, and Ida, and Toto-chan. Uraraka says, "Oh no, and everyone's freaking out for no reason. We need to let them know." "But why would we?" said Bakugo. "If they're smart, they would know that it was just the press. I wouldn't worry about it and just go on about my day." Looking over, Izuku sees a student was being ran over by other students on the ground. No, wait, try that again. Looking over, Izuku sees that a student was being ran over by other students while he was lying on the ground. Ida speaks. "Uraraka, I need you to float me and I'll..." Suddenly, Izuku raises both of his hands in the air and then he makes everyone float except for his friends that were nearby. The students are thinking, "Whoa, what's going on? Is this the villain's attack?" Izuku speaks. "Everyone calm down. It's just the press. They made it onto school grounds. Now stop hurting each other." While everyone was still floating in the air, Izuku went over and healed the student. And when he finishes, he gently puts down everyone. Toto-chan was even more impressed by Izuku's power. But in the classroom, Aizawa says, "Today, we will be taking a school field trip, so I want everyone to get into their hero suits and meet me at the bus station." Everyone responds saying, "Yes, sir." After more time has passed, everyone arrives at the USJ. When they enter, they come across 13. She tells them that they will be doing a series of tests of common disasters that happen, such as tsunamis, sinking ships, and collapsing buildings. And she would ask them if they were all ready. Izuku would then look down the stairs and say, "Who's that?" They all look and see a man with light blue hair and pale dry skin. He speaks. "Hello there, the League of Villains are here, and we want to take down the symbol of peace. We said he'd be here. We were told that he would be here, but it looks like he's not. How disappointing. Maybe if we kill enough of these kids, he'll come running this way. I hope it's okay that I brought some friends along to help me along with that." Suddenly, the portal behind him expands, and more bad guys emerge from it. There had to be at least hundreds of them. "This isn't good," said Aizawa. 13, protect the kids and call for help." Aizawa leaps into action, using his scarf to grab the villains, and he engaged in physical combat with them. All of the students who were watching were impressed by their teacher's skills in combat. 13 says that they all needed to run. They all run towards the door, except for Izuku, who continues to watch. Very interesting, said Izuku. But he can't handle them all on his own. He needs assistance. With everyone's back turned against Izuku, he walks down the stairs without them knowing. All of the villains that Aizawa was getting ready to fight was briefly interrupted when one of the villains said, "Welcome to the thrashing party, Scarf Man." Aizawa readies himself, but then he heard the words, "party." "Well, I feel quite distressed in not receiving an invitation." Aizawa would recognize that voice and say, "Izuku, what are you doing? Get the hell out of here." Izuku would walk towards Aizawa and say, "Well, you can't handle them all on your own. I just wanted to lend you a hand." One of the villains then spoke. "Oh, check this out. The student wants to help the teacher. This ought to be fun." All the villains charge at the two. Izuku raises both of his hands in the air, making the villains who are coming after them float. "Whoa, what the hell's going on here?" said one of them. Izuku would then slam his hands down to the ground, and then the villains would also go to the ground with a great tumble. Izuku would then raise his hands again, making them float, and then bash them down to the ground again, up and down and up and down and up and down, until he thought that they've had enough. He stopped. Izuku then looks up to the remaining villains and said, "Who's next?" Aizawa was really thrown off by Izuku's magical powers, even a little more than he was the first time he met him. With the villain still distracted and bewildered by Izuku's attack, Aizawa says, "Izuku, you can't always rely on your magic. It's best to use the next best thing you have. Your strength and your fists. I seen your combat test. I seen you in the test. I seen your test. I seen you. I seen your. I seen you in the combat test. So, you are well skilled in fighting. Show me what you got." Izuku would then smile and then raise his fists in the air, and one by one the villains would attack. Izuku would knock each and every one of them out, whoever got closer to him. At one point, one villain actually gave Izuku a good fight. Izuku would land a few blows while the villain would attack. Izuku would dodge. At one point, the villain would punch Izuku in the face, but then would come to immediately regret it, for it felt like he was punching a metal wall. It hurt his hand really bad. Izuku would then recover, and then he would do the splits to get underneath the villain, and then punch the villain right in the groin. And yes, he pulled a Johnny Cage. I had to. The villain would grunt in pain, and then Izuku would then deliver the final blow by uppercutting the villain, sending him flying. Aizawa was super impressed by Izuku's fighting skills, but then something would happen that would catch Izuku's attention. He would hear the familiar explosions of Bakugo in a different part of the USJ. "Kachan? How the hell did you get over there?" Looking over, he would then hear the cries of Mineta in the sinking ship area. "Mineta? What the hell's going on? How did they get over there?" "Mr. Aizawa, it would appear that my classmates have been scattered around the building. I'm going to go help them. Do you think you can handle these guys on your own?" "Yeah, I got this. Just go." Izuku runs towards the boat, but as he runs, 4 more villains jump in front of him trying to stop him. But Izuku keeps running, and as he's doing so, he then raises his hand up to his mouth as gold and dust engulfs his hand. He blows it in the direction of the villains that were in front of him, making them all float and pass out. Izuku makes it to the water zone, and he uses his magic on himself to float himself upwards to float to the boat. While in the middle of floating, a giant shark-like creature jumps from the water and tries to attack Izuku, but Izuku is quickly able to dodge. He then conjures a giant anchor next to him and lands it on top of the giant shark-like creature. Soon after, he landed on the boat with a loud thud as his feet hit the ground, or on the boating surface. He walks around calling Minetta's name, but when he turned the corner, he was almost struck by Minetta's sticky balls, but it missed him. And another one, until Sue told him to stop, that it was just Izuku. Izuku would wave his hand while saying, "Hi," and Minetta would freak out, saying, "Don't scare me like that, you bastard! These fishes have been trying to get us, for God's sake!" "I'm sorry. So, how did you guys get here?" Sue would then explain that a man with a portal quirk put them there. "Interesting," said Izuku. "Okay, I have a plan." Izuku would then walk over to the edge of the boat where he sees most of the water villains, and Sue would say, "Aren't you going to tell us what it is?" "Yes. Get ready to grab a hold of me." Izuku would then snap his fingers, and a little ball of green light would appear in between his index finger and his thumb, holding it. He then hovers the little ball of light over the water, and then he would drop it in the water. He would then quickly grab Sue and Minetta, and then float them off the boat with him. The water villains would see the little ball of light, and then, all of a sudden, the ball would then move around in a circle. Soon, it would cause a whirlpool to form, and the villains would be swirling out of control with the swirl. Up above, Izuku would tell Minetta to throw as many balls in the water as he can. He would do this, and soon all of the villains would be stuck together because of Minetta's sticky balls. "Wow, that was so cool," said Sue. Looking to the entrance, some of our friends... "Look, at the entrance, some of our friends are still in trouble with that portal guy," said Sue. Let's see if we can lend them a hand." They float to the main entrance. The portal man was trying to prevent them from leaving. 13 tries to does the thing where she sucks him in, yet she damages her by redirecting her suction. Izuku sees the trouble that they are in, and he would immediately jump into action. When he reaches the ground, he would put down the two of his friends, and then he would throw a ball of magic at him. It hit the man's neck guard, but when it came in contact with it, it bounced off? What the hell? Why did it bounce off of him? Iron. It must be made of iron. Damn it. Iron hurts me, and I can't use my magic on it. I have to think of something else. "What was that?" asked the man. "You know what, instead of the man, I'm going to just call him Korigiri." Izuku would say, "Oh, it was just an illusion. I was just trying to hit you, but it would appear that you were made of smoke. In other words, I can't do anything to you. But maybe that can." From underneath, a snake made of wood pops out from the ground, and it would lunge itself at Korigiri. With only a split second, he makes a portal about a few feet away, the snake would then try again. This time it almost got the jump on him, but then Korigiri would make another portal. This would go on again and again. This would go on for a while until he would decide to stop the portals and decapitate the snake into pieces. When he reforms, he sees Izuku just standing there smiling. "What are you smiling about, boy?" "Oh, it's just you and me," said Izuku. "Yeah, it is indeed. No, I mean, it's literally just you and I." Izuku then points to the open doors, and the man finally notices that the students have escaped. Izuku speaks, "Well, I'd like to stick around, but I gotta go help my friends. See ya." Izuku would then float off to help Bakugo and Kirishima. He's just overhead of them of the collapse zone. When Kirishima notices Izuku, he says, "Hey, Bakugo, look, it's Izuku up ahead." They both look up, and Izuku would notice that they are both being outnumbered. Izuku gets an idea. He then looks to Kirishima and says, "Hey, Kirishima." Raising his right hand into the air, he then says, "Into a dragon." Kirishima's eyes would widen when he would realize what is about to happen. While saying, "Yeah!" Kirishima's body starts changing. All of his muscles expands and his body grows as his clothes rip off of his body. As he continues to grow, he pushes back villains, and his wings grow from his back, and his skin turns scaly and red, like his hair. His horns would then appear on his head, and Kirishima's transformation would be complete, as he lets out a loud roar. "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about! Bakugo, climb on my back!" Bakugo would then do this, hop on Kirishima's back, and Kirishima would attack the villains by swiping his tail around, saying, "Oh, this is so cool, I'm gonna try to breathe fire." Izuku would then speak, saying, "Do be careful, Kirishima. You could potentially hurt yourself." "Thanks, Midoriya. I will be careful." In the distance, he sees Yaoyorozu, Jiro, and Denki. "Hey, you guys, I'm coming to help you." He would then run over there and try to help him. Izuku moves on, and he sees Mr. Aizawa was still fighting villains, proceedingly getting tired. He sees that he was on his last villain, the leader of the League of Villains. As Izuku watches from above, he sees the man catches Aizawa's scarf. He then got close, but Aizawa elbowed the man in the stomach. But then Izuku saw his teacher's face. It showed signs of painful intent. He then sees blood fall from Aizawa's shoulder, as he sees that this was the man's doing. Izuku quickly took action, using his psychokinesis to fling the man into the air, snaring him. What the hell is this?" Izuku would aid Aizawa by healing his shoulder. "Thank you," said Mr. Aizawa. "You're welcome. Now, let's ask our little friend here what the hell's going on." "Hey, let me down from this." Izuku and Aizawa would stand there in front of the man, and Aizawa would say, "Who are you?" "Tomura Shigaraki, the leader of the League of Villains. Now let me down from here, goddammit." "I don't think so," said Izuku. "Now, why do you want to kill All Might?" "Because my master demands it. Also, society has weakened over his times. He's been tricking people and himself into thinking that he's actually helping people. when really he's just made people's lives a living hell. Aizawa speaks. So you think the best way to cope with this is to target children who have nothing to do with your problems with All Might or you? It's not just All Might. These kids think that they could save the world. They need to know that where there is light, there is always shadows. Shadows is darkness. And what lies in the darkness, there's always something. And they can never hide from it. Which reminds me, Nomu. Kill the long-haired one. Both of the men feel a disturbing presence from behind them. Izuku quickly turns around to see what appears to be a giant birdman with the beak for a mouth and huge muscles and scars all over his body with only jeans as his clothing. When Aizawa turns around, the Nomu then grabbed him by the back of the head and slammed his head to the ground until it cracked. Izuku would then look straight at Shigaraki and said, "Just for that, I break all 10 of your fingers." With him flexing his fingers, Izuku would then break all of Shigaraki's fingers on both of his hands, obviously. Shigaraki would then let out a scream that would echo throughout the building. That would catch the attention of everyone of 1A. They would all run towards the noise. Back to Shigaraki. He yells, "Nomu, kill him!" The Nomu then sweeps at Izuku, and Izuku tries to use his psychokinesis to stop the Nomu's hand from hitting him, but the Nomu is too strong. He was successful in hitting Izuku, and Izuku flew far across the USJ into the rainy, wet zone of the USJ. The impact was so strong that he busted through the walls that looked like a circus tent. As he continues to fly through the air, he flips and turns until he was met with a building and shattered glass that he flew through. His impact, His impact of hitting desks and chairs managed to stop him, and he found himself lying on his back as he looked at the ceiling, and his body started healing, recovering itself, and soon he was able to get up. Oh man, what the hell was that thing? Ugh. Izuku would then get up and say, "There's no time to think. I have to take action and get back in the fight." As soon as he got up, he walked towards the exit of the building. But then he was stopped when he heard a loud thud hit the glass. He turned around and looked down, seeing Tokoyami and Koda being outnumbered by villains. Izuku then bursted the glass in front of him, and then he jumped into action. When he landed, he knocked the villains out by punching them and using his magic here and there. And after a few minutes, the madness would finally stop, when he would summon a snake to snare the remaining villains, by wrapping around them and holding them in place. Soon, when the three of the men are done, they run towards the exit. By the time they make it out, they come to the horrible discovery. Everyone in their classroom was defeated by the Nomu, even Kirishima in his dragon form. And who the Nomu had next in its hands was Todo-chan, with her own blood running down her face from her head. Izuku's blood started to boil from seeing his classmates like this. Without even thinking, Izuku ran in to save his mates. He quickly took Todo-chan out of the Nomu's grasp and with the snap of his fingers, he transported every one of his classmates and Mr. Aizawa outside, away from the dangers. Tokoyami and Koda were confused, and Izuku would walk into the USJ. He ran down the stairs. As he runs, he sees Shigaraki stomping his feet in frustration like a man-child. That was until he saw Izuku again. With furious anger flowing through him, he charges at Izuku while he says, "I'll kill you, you bastard!" When he reaches out to touch Izuku, he successfully touches him on his chest and says, "Ha! I won." Izuku looks down at Shigaraki and says, Izuku looks down at Shigaraki while his eyes were glowing green. "Did you really win?" said Izuku. Shigaraki would then look down to his hand and remembers that Izuku broke all of his fingers, basically disjoining them, bending his fingers backwards in a very uncomfortable position. He really only had 3 fingers on Izuku. If he had had 2 fingers on Izuku, I don't even know if his healing factor would have recovered that for him. Izuku then grabbed Shigaraki by the back of his head, and he slammed his face down into the concrete like the Nomu did to his sensei, over and over and over again until he saw a little bit of Shigaraki's own blood spill from his forehead. And then he threw Shigaraki away, as he knew that if he kept going, he would not be able to stop. Now, it was just Izuku and the Nomu. The two stared at each other, and after a few seconds, the Nomu charges at Izuku, and Izuku slowly walks towards the Nomu. The Nomu swings at Izuku, but Izuku dodged it by sliding underneath the Nomu and getting right behind it. He then quickly turned around and put the Nomu in a monster bear hug. Its arms were squeezed down to its sides so that he couldn't reach behind him and grab Izuku. The Nomu tries to fight back by running his back into the nearest item or anything to get Izuku off of him, but Izuku wouldn't let go. With each passing second, the Nomu would proceedingly get more and more tired of trying to get Izuku off of him until it eventually gave up. Izuku would see his opportunity, and he would engulf his body in green flames. The Nomu would then... Oh man, I lost where I was. Opportunity strike. The Nomu would then catch on fire with Izuku. Its skin would melt off of his body and its blood would evaporate. The Nomu screams in agony, and Izuku would say, "Burn! Burn! Burn!" The fire around him and the Nomu would grow out of control. Soon after, the Nomu's whole body would have nothing but bits and pieces of burnt meat on its skull, and its eyes were melted and practically gone. There was nothing there. But its brain was still intact somehow. Izuku extinguishes the flames, and he would then let go of the Nomu's body as it would fall to the floor. Izuku would then walk away, but was surprised when he felt something grab his leg. He looks down and saw that it was the Nomu. Its skin and organs started to grow back. What the hell, said Izuku. So, fast healing quirk, huh? Let's see if this works. Izuku would then kick the Nomu onto its back with his left leg. Izuku then stomped on the Nomu's head over and over and over again. He left his footprint on the Nomu's face, and soon after, the Nomu's face started to cave in as a pool of his own blood started staining the ground, and soon the Nomu's face was no more. Its skull and brain cells were splattered all over the grounds where Izuku was stomping. When Izuku finishes, he then looks to the headless Nomu, and then he raises his right hand into the air, and he engulfs it in flames. And then he slaps his hand down to the ground where the headless Nomu's head was, cauterizing the Nomu's head, sealing it shut. And with that, Izuku was victorious towards the Nomu. He killed it. Because I believe that if they were able to cut off a certain part of the Nomu and cauterize the wound, shut the wounded area, I think that would cancel out its healing factor. At least that's what my beliefs are. In that case, there's nothing to recover from since it's already been sealed. Idiot. I'm stupid. When he turned around, he saw the number one hero, All Might, standing there at the top of the stairs. He'd watched the whole thing that had happened. Izuku looks over to his left and he saw Shigaraki getting up, blood running down his forehead. Korigiri then appeared next to him and says, "We gotta go." Shigaraki looks to Izuku and he says, No, I want to kill him. That bastard, he cheated. You cheated. You need to die." He tried to get up, but was in too much pain to do so, and Korigiri says, "No, we need to leave now." He makes a sort of portal underneath Shigaraki and he falls through it. But just as he's about halfway through it, Izuku tries to stop him, grabbing him with his psychokinesis, leaving his arm sticking out on the other side of the portal. Shigaraki was on the other side of the portal except for his left arm, still on the other side of the portal. I said that twice. Damn it. Korigiri then closed the portal on Shigaraki's arm, severing it from his body. On the other side of the portal, in the USJ, Shigaraki's left arm was lying on the ground as it had its own little puddle of its blood surrounding, with the clothes soaking the blood of what's left of it. From outside, Izuku and All Might could have sworn that they heard the screams of Shigaraki because of his severed arm. A few seconds have passed, and Izuku looks at All Might and says, "I'm sorry. They got away." All Might would say, No, it's fine, young Totoro. No, it's fine, young Midoriya. Are you okay? Your arms are badly burned. No, don't worry about it, All Might. I am a fast healer. Izuku would then raise his arms up, revealing the burn marks as they heal fast in front of All Might's eyes. "Wow," said All Might. "I came here to help because I heard that you were all in danger, but it looks like you had everything under control here. Everyone's outside hurt." Did you get them out of here yourself? Yeah, I did, but I'm gonna go help them. Outside, Toto-chan was waking up to see Izuku in her sight. Is Izuku? Ugh. She grunts from the pain, and Izuku says, hey, 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 it's okay, just stay still. I'm healing all of you right now. Around the both of them, a bright light lies underneath all the wounded ones. Every student that was injured from the fight was getting healed by Izuku. Soon, everyone was waking up. All Might, who was standing in the healing circle, was amazed at what he was seeing. He speaks to himself. Just, how many quirks does this boy have? Suddenly, All Might gasps, which caught the attention of Izuku. Oh, Izuku, what's wrong? Oh, wait, sorry. Oh, All Might, what's wrong? Izuku sees All Might holding the left side of his stomach, and he would say, what? Was there something wrong with your stomach? It's fine. You're being healed up as we speak. Alright, Toto-chan. You can get up now. Izuku would then offer her his hands for her to stand up. She would then take a hold of them, and she would stare into Izuku's eyes as she sees the light that surrounded the both of them in the reflection of his eyes. At that moment, Toto-chan had a weird feeling in her chest. And the same thing goes to Izuku. And to him, an awkward moment of silence was too long, and he nervously said, well, I better go check on everyone else. He walks away with great regret. After some time, everyone was up, and the police and ambulances had shown up. Since Izuku wasn't 100% sure how to heal 13's body, she had to be taken to the hospital so that she could be properly taken care of. After the police was done questioning the students, Izuku was feeling extremely tired. He had overused his magic for today. Sitting down on the nearest bench, still at the USJ, with the police officers and reporters nearby wanting to get answers, Izuku wanted to fall asleep on the bench, but he was... when he heard Toto-chan's voice, hey, Izuku? Yeah? I just wanted to say thank you for saving me. Oh, don't mention it. We're all a team. We need to look after each other. Yeah, you're right. Well, listen, Izuku, She looks over and sees that Izuku had fallen asleep. She chuckles and says, rest easy, as she gives him a sneak little kiss on his facial cheek. After what felt like a few hours of sleep, Izuku woke up feeling refurbished and re-energized. He woke up stretching and yawning on a couch. Oh, man, that one was real. Where am I? I lost my place. Looking out the window, he sees that he's in UA after hours. The sun was still basically coming to its setting. How did I get here? And what time is it? I promised Dad I'd meet him after school today. Right behind him, the door opens, revealing All Might. Oh, hey All Might. What's going on? Hello there, young Midoriya. I brought you here because I wanted to thank you. Thank me? For what? You healed my respiratory system. All Might would then lift up his shirt, revealing nothing. There was no scar, not a trace of damaged tissue. Right there was a spot that my greatest nemesis took my respiratory system. When I was in your healing circle, it must have healed me. I've never felt this good in my life. By now, I would be puking my own blood and I wouldn't be able to hold my form very long. Izuku says, "What do you mean, form?" "Well, let me show you," said All Might. All Might's body was then covered in a shroud of smoke. When the smoke cleared, it revealed his weakest form. Izuku was surprised of what he was seeing. All Might speaks. "My name is Toshinori." Izuku and Toshinori would shake hands. Izuku would come to a short conclusion, saying, "There's another reason you're telling me all this, isn't there?" Toshinori would smile and say, "Yes. You see, young Midoriya, I've watched you for some time, and I'm very impressed by your magic. One of your classmates told me that you don't have a quirk and this is just magic of yours. Anyway, you got your friends out of danger and believe it or not, he told me not to tell you this, but your teacher, Mr. Aizawa, he was really amazed by your combat skills and thought that you deserve some credit. And I think you do too." Toshinori would then kneel down to Izuku's level and say, "Izuku Midoriya, I can see a lot of potential in you, and something that makes you a true hero. And for your courage, your bravery, and kindness and skills, I would like to offer you my quirk. I call it One for All." Izuku's eyes widen as he can't believe what he is hearing. Me? And that's the end of What If Deku Had Maleficent's Powers, Part 5. Now, I really do hope that everyone enjoyed this What If. And I really ain't got nothing to say at the end of this. If you made it to the end of this video, consider yourselves #blessed, and I hope everyone has a nice day. Goodbye.